Well, that wasn't how this was supposed to go. Project Game Day after the Ravens lose 33-31 to the Cleveland Browns. This was supposed to be more jubilant as three of us, myself, Femi, and KZ, are all here at Towson University celebrating Veterans Day this weekend. We got a great group with us, and boy, it was looking great for a little while, and then it went to hell from there. Reeta is down in New Orleans. She'll join us in 1 second. Today's show brought to you by Superbook Sports, helpmygamblingproblem.org, and AJ Michaels. Remember that if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. Reeta, I'm going to let you go first and just get whatever you want to get off your chest real quick.
This was an interesting game. And look, I was going to text you and Femi because I have questions. I have a lot of questions. This was the Myles Garrett show. That's basically what it boiled down to. Couldn't stop Myles Garrett. Didn't really do anything that helped stop Myles Garrett. Don't really understand that logic. But ultimately, him just being the person that he is and the player that he is, wreaking havoc, to me, just played a huge role into what the Ravens just weren't able to do in the second half. And to me, what the Browns did that I thought that the Ravens would do was they found a way to diffuse the pass rush a little bit by starting to get the ball out of Deshaun's hands faster. Just little dump passes here and there, but they were quick passes to kind of get them away from, rushing and getting in his way. So ultimately, I felt like I liked the adjustments that the Browns made. I didn't feel like the Ravens made a ton of adjustments in the second half, or ones that I would have preferred. And essentially, that's the outcome. That's what I saw today. And if anyone saw something different, please let me know, because I'm still trying to figure out what exactly happened here.
Femi, I need you to hit on mute if you don't mind. You're up next.
Yeah, it's a crazy game. Am I echoing on your guys' end too? I'm good?
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
No, you're good.
So I need to pull back a little bit and speak as an analyst and not as an emotional, crazy person right now.
We got to see a little bit of emotional, crazy person Femi today.
The bottom line is the Ravens were up 17-3 in the first quarter. They lost 33-31. So they got outscored 30-14 from the second quarter on. The reason why I don't like big leads early is because you get complacent. And the Ravens have been able to blow people out when they got big leads, even when they made mistakes, because those teams had no heart. The Browns are dogs, literally and figuratively, and they have a defense that doesn't quit. Their offensive line mauled the defensive front seven of the Ravens in the second half. Deshaun Watson was perfect in the second half. When they needed to make a tackle, they couldn't. The Ravens got away from the run game way too quickly. They did not protect Lamar. They did not chip enough on Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett. And emotionally, they could not match the intensity of the Browns. That's the narrative of the game, in my opinion. And sometimes you need games like this to recalibrate and get your head screwed on straight. The beauty is they play Cincinnati Thursday, but Cincinnati is in the same place mentally and emotionally as they are. So I don't know what's going to happen on Thursday, but I'm just distraught as a fan. But as a player and a coach in that building, there's a lot in front of us still to be excited about. And Cincinnati lost, Browns won. We beat the Browns earlier. We're still in first place.
So now, Gonzalez.
First place now.
That's true. Now, Gonzalez, you tell us why we're firing the coach today.
I don't know that you're firing the coach today. It's a horrible loss. It's why you look back and the other losses. It's like it just, you win the games you're supposed to win. You need to win when you have a chance to win them. Today, I thought Femi said it right. I mean, you had not only did you have a 14-point lead in the first quarter, you had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter, yep.
Yeah, and you blew that. I agree. You know, I know Gus, when you look at a yards per carry, probably doesn't look that good in what he did today. They weren't, but they went away from it. You saw an explosive play out of Mitchell, 2 explosive plays in the first quarter. He had 2 more touches the rest of the game. He had 3 carries total. I don't, those are coaching decisions that I don't know. I don't understand. And that's on the offensive coordinator. He's the one calling the plays. There was one opportunity where I thought, you know, Harbs could have called a timeout and got them on a key third down, where it was, I think it was 3rd and 8. They were all disheveled. They were not ready to call play. You have the ability to call timeout there and not turn it into impossible.
Well, they took a delay of game without calling a timeout.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like right there. That's when I complain about things about the head coach. The head coach can only make so many effective decisions. His defensive coordinator, his offensive coordinator have to call the games. But if you hear something or you see something that, hey, we need a reset, and we saw that earlier. You know, when we thought we had it communicated on what we wanted Zay Flowers to do on the punt, run around a little bit, and it was miscommunicated. Well, you had a timeout at that point. Call timeout. Make sure everybody's on the same page clearly. And those are the things when I get upset about Harbs and how he does things. Those are things I go back to. It's like you have, yeah, he's not the one playing, but you have certain situations where you can control what is happening, and you can say, you're supposed to be the manager that says, hey, let's slow down here. Let's make sure we get it right. It doesn't look like we're going, you see the clock coming down. So I'm not going to get upset yelling about things, but I get more upset. Cleveland Browns are a good team. If Deshaun Watson is going to play like this, especially like he did, I think he was perfect in the second half. I don't know where he went. At one point, They showed 13 for 13. I don't know where he wound up. But if he's going to play like this, they're going to be a problem because his defense is for real. But you blew a 14-point lead twice, and that just can't happen. I hope Humphrey is okay. That secondary looks completely different when he's not on the field. There was a lot of near misses we got hands on Watson a lot. You didn't get him to the ground a lot. You unfortunately didn't get the football on what could have been a really good play by Owe, where, you know, he stripped the ball and they fell on it first. You can go and look at certain things. I just, you know, you can't do that if you have aspirations, but maybe it is a good thing, like Femi said, that they don't have time to worry about what today was. It was a loss. You got to move on. And you got Cincinnati, who is fighting for their playoff lives now because they had an in-division, in-conference loss. And they're going to come in here thinking they have a must-win game. So this schedule isn't such that you can afford to give away games. It gets tough. It's tough.
Every time I think you're done talking, you keep going.
He's not. I'm trying to
jump in here.
Fam, everybody here knows I am long-winded, so somebody's got to stop it. You got to jump in, man.
Well, stop. Time out.
Okay, there you go.
Time out. Let me
He's
play
gonna throw the
Coach
flag.
Harbaugh.
Look at everybody agreeing. Look at everybody agreeing.
Time out. First of all, way too much time on Coach Harbaugh. That play had nothing to do with the loss. Let me tell you what the loss was about. The loss was about damn heart. They got their asses ran over in the second half. And I'll tell you right now, the Ravens have a great defense, but there's 2 things that you can do to beat them. Open up the middle of the field and run deep in routes and deep dig routes. That's in at 10, in at 5, and in at 20. It was there all day. And the reason why it's there is because the pass rush isn't getting there. And guess what? When teams commit to run, really commit, like Indianapolis did, Zach
Moss.
Zach Moss, he ran that rock. If the Ravens don't figure out how to stop the run when it counts, it's going to be a problem. And the Browns had an excellent game plan, and they got away from it early because of the turnover and the Ravens' early explosiveness. But everything that went wrong had to do with the players on the field, and I do agree with you on this. The play calling by the coordinator was baffling to me in some parts of the game.
Yeah.
And now I will call a timeout on myself.
All right, I apologize. I got to figure out what's going on there. I got everybody frozen now, so I might have to restart. So here's where I'm at, right? What I can't figure out is there are teams that don't handle adversity well. Why do the Ravens not handle prosperity well? Like, that's the part that's infuriating for me. You can understand adversity being a problem, but Femi, you talked about it. This team gets in front, and it feels like they're a completely different team all of a sudden. I don't know if it's a mental thing. You bring up heart, and I know your boy Josh Charles was in agreement. I could see him smiling and agreeing with the heart thing. But when everything's going your way in the early going of a game, what happens? Why is it that all of a sudden they look completely different?
I don't think it's a Ravens thing. I think it's a competitive thing. You're expecting to be in a dogfight, and you get a big ass lead, and I think the tenor, the play calling, and the emotional kind of it's not detachment. It's almost like, man, we've been up big, and in the past we've blown some of those, but lately they've been keeping their foot on the gas pedal. Let's look at let's look at Detroit. Let's look at Seattle. There's these games lately where they put their foot on people's throat. Arizona, that was a little bit of an ugly game, but they figured it out. Tennessee, same thing. But I just don't know what happens sometimes when you have a 14-point lead. And let me say this: the Lamar pick six, damn. That ball hit the dude in the head, ball goes up in the air. Sometimes odd things happen at the worst time. But I do think as an organization, as a culture, I would be insulted and take it personal if we say the Ravens don't have heart in general. But I do think there is, obviously we have the most blown 14-point lead in the fourth quarter in NFL history over a
2-year span
period. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's true. It doesn't sit right with me in regard to why and I don't think I'm answering your question. I'm probably baffled too, because when you look at this team and what we are and who we are and what we pride ourselves on, these are the kind of games we're supposed to win. So sorry. Let me stop there.
I mean, right.
Femi's hurt, by the way. Like we've been out of here today over at Towson watching Femi. Like, it hurts him in his soul, which is, in a way, it's not cool to see because I certainly don't want to see it. But it's wild to me, the emotional attachment that you have with this organization. And I know you were back and you've been a part of it and you've stayed here and made your life here. It's wild to see. I want to go to your buddy Josh Charles because he should be celebratory today. The strike's over. We should be in a good mood. And yet here we are again. Josh, I could see the way you were reacting to what Femi was saying about heart. It struck a nerve with you.
Yeah, I mean, I came in right when Ken was talking, and it's like one of these things where everybody's going to pick, moments here, and they're going to say the offensive coordinator and things maybe with the head coaching and some of the play calling and some of that, and all of that may be true. But at the end of the day, I look at it and say, Cleveland's a damn good team, right? A really good defense. And at the end of the game, when the game counted, I think you have to put it on everybody. You could talk about heart. I don't think it's about heart. I think they just made the plays that they needed to make, both on offense and defense, and we did not, with a couple of fluke plays here and there. And I think that's what I take away from it. It had that sort of sick feeling throughout it that, like, this was going to be one of those games where something like that was going to happen because we kept kind of letting them come back in. But you have to just sometimes tip your hat to the other team. I'm sorry. They imposed their will on us at the end of the game. I mean, those last few drives, they were driving. They got the ball down. They did what they needed to do, and we didn't. And I don't want to make all these grand, proclamations that Harbaugh this or, all of a sudden now what we've been the last 4 weeks, we're not. It's a game. It's a tough game. It's a division game. You always have to take them differently. That's a damn good defense. We're a damn good defense. They played better than us and they won, and you got to tip your cap to them. And I'm not ready to shit on the Ravens right now. I'm sorry. There's a lot of things that pissed me off about the game, But you also got to give that to the Browns. They had a little more drive there at the end of the game than us. I mean, they just did. Sorry, that's how I feel.
I can't argue with that at all. I can't even.
And I'm not going to argue. I mean, obviously the Browns did what they had to do to win. I personally just felt like I didn't understand offensively what the plan was in the second half. And I think that that's what bothers me the most, right? I felt like there were times when, okay, that Myles Garrett has been a force. And I just didn't think that the adjustments that I thought that they could have made were made. And I'm with KZ, like, okay, why does Keaton Mitchell only get 3 total carries? Like, there were times where I felt like that they were passing the ball that I couldn't really understand why in those moments they were passing. So while I am going to give Cleveland their props, because I think that they deserve that, particularly when you're down 14 points in the fourth quarter, I do feel like the Ravens got complacent and even conservative. Well, not conservative, because they were passing the ball on offense. I just don't think that they made the adjustments that needed to be made. And that to me is problematic.
I'll actually expand on it. It's not just. Go ahead, Josh.
But at the end of the day, wasn't it just, our defense didn't do what they have been doing of late at the end. They just couldn't shut it down. They couldn't stop them. And I think that's, at the end of the day, what the game came down to. All the other stuff, we had the leads and we let them drive down the field. The one long drive and the one shorter drive come back in this game. Yes, the fluky pick, that's a huge part of it too. But when they had the ball, when it counted, they made the plays and we did not on defense. And I still think we're an amazing defense. Just wasn't that
Josh,
way at the end of the game.
I think you missed me open, but I said a lot of stuff that you said in the beginning. I said Cleveland is figurative. You're fine. Don't worry, man. I said Cleveland, they are figurative and literal dogs. They got in our ass today. That's the first thing I said, and they deserve to win the game, no doubt about it. And I give them a lot of credit. And I was actually saying before we went on air, guys, what did I say about this game? What did I say before the game ended? I said, this reminds me of what Lamar did in Cleveland
on Monday
4 years ago on Monday night. I go, Deshaun is doing that to us right now. I said that before we got on air, and that's what happened, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
And Josh, what's so funny? And I'm sure that Reeta and everybody else watching the game, I had this sick feeling in my stomach ever since about the second quarter. Yes, the second quarter, when we had the ball and we were on the 30-yard line, and all we had to do was run it 3 or 4 times and kick a field goal. But no, we didn't do that. We got cute. We decided to run a gadget play. We gave up a sack. Then we gave up a field goal. Then we got our field goal blocked. Then we had an interception. That breaks up continuity and momentum when you get cute. Yes. We're still a good team, but it's in my nature to be a critic. I'm going to always break things down and look for the opportunity to improve. And right now, I'm never jumping off the bandwagon. I don't care if they go 0-17. It's not happening. But the truth of the matter is that it does gut me when I see opportunity squandered. And this reminds me of Indianapolis, and this reminds me of Pittsburgh. So that's all.
I think in a way, it feels like that's what the Ravens are now. In part, they're a very good team, but they're also a team that has been in this position too many times and has had this unfold. Let me hit a couple things real quick. First of all, tonight, Jets favored by a point on the road in Las Vegas. Tomorrow night, Buffalo, 7-point favorites against the Broncos. Get over to superbook.com or download the Superbook app. Use the code GlennClark23 when you do, and you'll get up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. To expand upon what we're talking about with Keaton Mitchell and what Ken brought up, I'll add in total running back carries for the game, 16. 16 total running back carries in a game in which you led by 2 scores for the overwhelming majority of it.
I just don't get it. That's the part that frustrates me, is that especially in the fourth quarter, I was like, what are they doing? I don't understand why you still feel the need. I also don't understand, guys. Again, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, they're doing their thing. I was like, so we're just not going to move the pocket. We're just not going to roll. I was just like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't understand football enough, but I just doing what you were doing didn't feel like it was the best of ideas, but
sure.
What do I know?
I felt like we got really but the thing is, sometimes those passes were there though. I mean, I think of that one to Andrews at 36 yards, and the big chunk plays were there. But the play calling was definitely odd at times, and I'm gutted by this loss too, believe me. But I just immediately got centered for a second and was like, we just got our butts kicked at the end there. Like, I got to give it to the other team. Like we didn't deliver, and I'm sure the guys are pissed about it. I'm sure they are.
No, they have to be pissed about it. And again, this might be the best week to have a Thursday night game. It might be that the best possible scenario, Femi, and you can tell me more about this as a player, is that you go through something like this and you don't have as much time. You have to go right back to work. And to the point, the Bengals are also going to be pretty fired up going into Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals are pretty beat up. And I'm hoping that we're not as beat up as it looks like right now post-game, but we haven't seen the injury report yet.
So real quick, no update from John Harbaugh on either Ronnie Stanley or Marlon Humphrey.
Okay. So, but we've played without Ronnie and Marlon a bit this year.
The first part of the season, yeah.
Yeah, the guys that are backing those guys up, I think will be ready. The good thing is the game is here. We know how to play Cincinnati. I feel like it's counterintuitive, but I think when you get in a locker room, sometimes, there's those cute cliches, you either win or you learn. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, today you better learn some shit today. Oops. Am I allowed to say that?
You're good. You're good.
I think I already said it.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Josh. We can't just do an outtake, huh? Cut that out, can we?
Dude, Femi, I got to figure out ways.
Look, Femi got to be new here because look, at the old Project Game days, I was dropping F-bombs like
were you?
Nobody's business.
Well, I can't do that. When I'm on WBAL and Hearst, I can't do that stuff.
For sure.
And on the fan, I actually said the S word and they cut me off. They dropped me. They had to bring me back. I was like, but see, I feel like I'm just talking to my friends. You know what I mean? Normally, I'm like, fuck that. That's some bullshit. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Fuck you. Fuck that. I hate that. Fuck that. Fuck.
See, Femi told me today he doesn't like ever watching the game anywhere besides his couch. But we're going to have to figure out a way to do another event where people can watch the game with Femi because I'm telling you, it is worth the price of admission.
You better come in a plastic bag or something, though, because I don't know what's going to – I can spit on you, throw some wine on you, tequila, One
of the things is, when he got here – he was saying all the same things that Ken and I had been saying. Ken and I watched the whole game together. So he was saying all the same things. We're like, look, we're just going to be symbiotic. And then I mentioned some of the Lamar Jackson deep ball stuff, and I said he missed 2, which he's right. He didn't miss 2. The Keaton one was Keaton just dropped it.
Hit him in the chest.
That one hit him in the chest.
So I said it the wrong way. And Femi was on my
I got in his ass.
On my ass about saying that Lamar missed 2. I was like, all right, you're right. I'll give you that. To the point that Josh brought up a minute ago, we know this is still a good team, Femi. I'm not suddenly saying, oh, God, it's a nightmare. But at the same time, this could be costly. What about this? Do you say Andrew Stecca has a phrase that he likes to use? I'm got it on my list. I got it. It's on my watch list. What from this game goes to your watch list moving forward?
I think I said it earlier. It's the defensive ability to stop teams committed to running the ball because when the teams have committed, they've been able to do it. Third down, Deshaun Watson. I think he did finish 14 for 14 or something in the second half, and I think not having Marlon out there hurt. And I know that KZ a long time ago had mentioned when you need a sack, who's going to do it? Well, guess what? Adafe did it and they didn't recover it. But we still needed more later. And it just looked like everybody was gassed. And that play where they had the scrum with Njoku always plays good against us. They had got like 15 extra yards through sheer will and like undeniability. We're not losing this game. Cleveland was committed. And I tip my cap. Josh said it. Rita said it. I think we've all kind of said it. We know Cleveland is a problem. So that's what I heard.
There's no doubt about it. If there's no Ronnie Stanley, you hope that you get Morgan Moses back, and then Patrick McCary would go over to left tackle at that point. And Patrick McCary has looked good at left tackle, but he and everybody else. So Rita said at the beginning, everybody took their turns getting their ass beat by Myles Garrett today.
Myles Garrett just went around and was like, "Oh, you next? Who's next? Go,
yep.
go!" And did the little dance and just moved on to the next person. I mean, it just was that type of day. And I understand. I just felt like there was some adjustments that possibly could have been made in terms of just either running right at him, like getting Lamar to run right at him, or okay, so I'm not tripping, Femi. Okay, or just like I said, moving the pocket a little bit. I just don't understand why that didn't happen. I would like somebody to ask Todd Monken that.
So let me just, from a X's and O's perspective, they could have moved the pocket more for sure. Don't disagree with that. I do think that they did a pretty good job chipping, but they probably didn't do it enough. I would have loved to see Pat Ricard in there chipping more. But the problem is that the Browns rush 4 and they got 4 studs. They got two real good studs on the edge, right? So there was the cure for that is running at them. And we all know they only had 16 rushes with running backs today, right? And when you have a lead, it's kind of like that's what you're supposed to do, actually. You know, you should be going zone read. You should be going power. You should be going inside, outside zone. You should be going QB draw. You should go with QB power. I do think that there were times that the play calling got a little bit cute, but sometimes it's just got to be me and you in an alley, mano-y-mano, no bats, no knives, no guns, just fisticuffs, and they whooped our ass when it counted. I'm just going to say it. They beat our ass when it counted. Yes, and I don't think that is going to happen all the time. I think that there was an emotional kind of letdown, and them being on the road and being down early, they got that adrenaline up early in the game because they were down and they never let their foot off the gas. We had to kind of do this roller coaster thing. Oh, I need a shot of caffeine. And we just could never really catch up to them. And I know this sounds wild, but it's true. I've been in so many games where the emotional tide of the game, it does carry a team to victory. And I think we've all said it. I'm going to say it one more time. In the second quarter, I never felt good about the way this game was potentially going to end. I swear to God, I was sitting on my couch. I'm like, second quarter was a mess. You know, it was bad. And they went to the locker room. PJ Walker comes in for the last play of the game. I thought Deshaun was done. And I was like, yes, I hope that dude doesn't come back.
Too.
Seriously. And then he comes back and goes 14 for 14. Like it's so weird that we all were kind of feeling the same thing. I was saying what they were saying before I got here. You guys are feeling what I was. We're all seeing it the same way, which means what? We love our team, but we're also going to sit here and we're going to be critical. But guess what? On Thursday night, we're going to have our purple pom-poms. We're going to be out there doing it again.
Yeah, of course.
But that's it, though. It is what it is.
I got a question. Like the other thing that's sticking with me is, you know, the sort of national movement now of everybody being on the Ravens, the best team in the NFL. I wonder, like in a locker room, Femi, like, you know, these guys are tough. They're professionals. They'll bounce back. We don't have a lot of time to lick our wounds. But what we have done in that stretch of wins, for the most part, you know, I'd say the majority of the games, is impose our will on people on both sides of the ball. And I think the fact that we couldn't do that today, you know, offensively when we needed to, we couldn't. I mean, we did at certain points. And defensively, you know, we talk about the pressure, you know, or that they got, but I thought we were going to have a lot more pressure given that they were without some guys on the line. And we just weren't able to impose that will that we've seen now in these last few games that's been gotten everybody in a frothy frenzy nationally. And I think it's time for these guys to just, you know, good thing it's Thursday. There's not a lot of time to think about it. Get back on the field
Josh.
and play. Wait, so did the Bengals lose today?
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
Oh,
so, yes, they did.
Josh, hey, Josh, I need to talk about something you just said that I thought was really intuitive. You were talking about the national frothiness. I hate that so much. I want to be dogs. I want to be hated. I don't want anyone to cheer for us. I don't want anyone to talk about us being the best. I hate that so much. And everybody's been honest now for the last 3 weeks. And it doesn't seep into the locker room, I don't think. But now they just build you up to tear your ass down. I just hate that. I'd rather just have them kick us in the nuts all the time. It's cool. I got a cup on and we'll be good. I'll be fine. You know, just keep kicking me in the nuts. Too. It's good. You know what I'm saying?
That's
exactly.
You know
what I mean? Yeah. So I love being the underdog. I love being underestimated. But then everyone starts saying you're the best. I hate that. There was something else you said.
We certainly weren't the best defense today. I mean, I'll tell you that. We're not.
I think that there's we're going to be fine in the long run because I do think we are tough guys and these dudes are not going to be satisfied. But there's something about the momentum of this game, and a loss like this can be a good reset, a good refocus. Everyone's going to be talking shit on Monday. Stephen A. Smith, it's fluid. He's going to be talking this shit too. You know what I'm saying? Good. Let it. Thursday night. Let's see what happens.
All right. I got to jump in here for a second, and we're going to do an exercise. Femi, if you could hit mute, because this is going to be the Ken Zalett show for a second. I'm going to read something, and I'm going to hit mute after I say it. I'm going to turn it over to Ken Zalett to respond to this, because yeah, right. Wait till you hear it. So this comes from our friend Jeff Zrebeck of The Athletic. Ken, this is quote from Jeff. Asked about not getting the ball to Keaton Mitchell in the second half, Harbaugh said, "That's just how the game went." Your response.
He doesn't call the plays. Okay, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with that.
I'm very disappointed by this so far.
But
So
it
soft,
just
Ken.
it
You're
just
so
goes
soft.
to the it just goes to my premise is that he just it's a feel like you go into halftime and Femi, you'll have to answer this because I've never been in a locker room at halftime, but don't like the coaches get together, go over some stats, what's working, what's not working, kind of make adjustments, then come back to the team. It's like you look at halftime and you're like, we've had 2 of the 4 times that Keaton Mitchell's touched the ball. It's been an explosive play. Shouldn't we try to call a couple more? Shouldn't we try to get the ball in his hands a couple more times? He does this all the time to me. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
Can I help you out?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're not wrong. I mean, I know I get on you a little.
I know. It's all good.
But some of the things you say are not inaccurate. Because it's impossible to bat 1,000 as a head coach or as a player, or as a coordinator. You're gonna make bad calls. You're gonna forget about certain things. You're gonna get lost in the moment. We're human, but they're the best of the best at their job. So we expect perfection, which isn't realistic. But if we look at the body of work, and I know for you, it hasn't been good enough lately in regard to playoff wins and Super Bowls, which I don't disagree with, because it's never going to be good enough. We want to win everything. But to say that's the way the game went, not a good answer.
It's
not a good answer.
But he gives,
and I love Coach Harbaugh. You know what I mean?
But it's always, we joke about, especially Reeta and I, like anytime there's a thing, it's like, oh, here comes miscommunication. Here comes, things like that. It's like he has these little things that it just constantly irks me. And I
got to jump in here, Ken, because I missed the last few weeks when you were here. And I know I listened on one of them before, I think, when you I know how you feel about Harbaugh and you made it clear. But forgive me, because I missed the Seattle game and I missed the Detroit game after and all those things. Were you, just as you're talking negatively about him and certain things and the moves he makes or doesn't make, and obviously doesn't make the play call, but were you doing the opposite of that when we just blew those teams out? Like, I mean,
No,
I don't think it can be one or the other. It's got to be, you got to give it up if you're going to take it away. I mean, I feel like
I'll be honest with you. I was actually very, very calm on those games and complimented how well the team was prepared and how well they played until Glenn tried. See, this is what everybody does. Says they know how I feel, Josh. Glenn kind of hit me.
You're lying. I think
Glenn is a shit stirrer.
Wait a minute. I only got worked up. Which week was it that you got me worked up at the end of the call?
And it was the first blowout. It was the Lions game, and we were all being way too agreeable. And so I said, it's time for me to get something going. And then I ducked and I let Ken and Femi have at it for about 10 minutes.
It's like,
I massacred you.
Look, I am not. Here's the thing, Josh. And this is where I land overall on Harbaugh. Since day one, I don't like how he manages a game. It's just there are certain things with clock and how he handles timeouts and how he handles when the team is ahead. I've never liked it. I've always been consistent with that. And I still don't like whether they win or lose. I still don't like it. But, Femi said something that, yes, we want to win the Super Bowl every single year. And I come down on this. My problem with Harbaugh is that it hasn't been good enough. I expect this team every single year to be a playoff team. All this is window dressing. Like the loss today is devastating, but it's not season ending, But like I would have rather Harbaugh answer that question. It's like, you know what? We need to do a better job of getting the ball into Keaton Mitchell's hands. All this, well, that's just how it went. No, stop that. I can't take that. I can't.
But that's not how he really feels.
But I also,
but he's just saying that in the moment. He doesn't really feel that way.
Exactly. I think you also got to give somebody a moment. Also, I think Harbaugh, the one thing I think the one of my favorite things about John as a coach, and I completely don't agree with you in terms of his coaching. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's evolved as a coach. Could there be things he could do better and other coaches do? Sure. But as a leader, as the kind of guy that he's adapted to the guys and the culture of the game, I think they're second to none to me. He is.
Dude,
and I think
Josh, you're saying exactly what I told this man.
Well, I'm just because
but I don't think KZ thinks that he's not a Hall of Famer, though.
He is a Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Famer.
He will admit to that.
And that's fair. And listen, I'm not here to like attack KZ for his opinion. That's fine. I'm just saying that.
Oh, it's okay, Josh. Just join in. It's fun.
No,
everybody gets a kick out of it.
I'd like to attack him.
I refuse to, but I do think
Andrew's way too quiet on this.
Saying that after the game, and I know even Femi said that's not good, but I think, like, let's see what he says tomorrow when he's looked at the film, when he's calmed down. He has the right to be human. He's upset. I mean, he doesn't want to get into that right in the middle after the game. I mean, I'm sure he's stung right now too, as everybody else is. We had that game. We should have won that game. He's pissed. There'll be a lot of soul searching and a lot of looking at what they could do better. I think that's one of the things this team generally does the best, in my view, is they rally from their mistakes and usually build off of it. You know,
Absolutely.
So
you're right.
We've done that. You know, so I'm just like, as mad as I am, I feel like, look, it's a division game. You always got to look at these games differently, man. Always, you know that, right?
Definitely.
The way we're going to play
I
these
think,
guys is going to be different.
Think, Josh, what you're saying is give this man some grace in the moment, which I totally agree with. But Coach Harbaugh he's not new to this. You know what I mean? Coach Harbaugh has been, he's coached over 200 NFL games, I believe, and so I think that if you look at the old Coach Harbaugh, this speaks to what you were saying, Josh. He's evolved. He's become a player's coach. He's become a lot better with the media. He's a lot less fiery and impulsive when it comes to the way that he responds sometimes. I got to intern under him, for a training camp. I was going to be a coach, and I got to see him operate. I got to really see how he works. And he's even evolved since then I think it was 2011 when I did that internship with the Ravens. And so everything you're saying is 100% true. And I think to defend KZ a tiny bit, KZ's opinion on Coach being a Hall of Famer, you can't say that out loud and to be taken seriously because his record stands on its own. He's a Hall of Famer, no matter how you feel about him. I think the thing that KZ is honing in on is that for the as much success as he's had, KZ, you correct me if I'm wrong, you think that there should be more postseason success than we've had. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
With the people that we've had? Okay.
Yeah.
So I hear you on that. The thing that I'll say is that every story has a right turn and a left turn, and things go sideways, injuries, crazy things happen. If seasons were predictable and exactly you'd have from week 1 to week 20, this kind of the playoffs and the Super Bowl, then it'd be a lot easier to navigate. But that's not the reality of it. Things change week to week. The NFL is a week to week league. And I feel that Coach Harbaugh handles that uncertainty really, really well for his athletes. And that's the part about him that I really like.
Sammy, what I would say is, it's me, and Josh knows the thing about this from improv classes, right? To me, it's a yes and conversation, right? Like, yes, the Ravens are still a very good football team. And yes, sometimes you lose games. And yet all of those things to me are yes. But it's yes and I'll use this particular number because it's floating around right now. This is from Benjamin Solak of The Ringer. The Ravens have lost 7 games in the last 2 regular seasons with Lamar Jackson as their starter. They had at least a 75% win probability, according to ESPN's win probability tracker, in the fourth quarter of every single one. In 5 of the 7, they had at least a 90% chance to win in the fourth quarter. Now, that says 2 things. One, it reminds you of how good they are, that nobody's kicking their ass. Like, that doesn't happen when Lamar Jackson plays. No one kicks the Ravens' ass when Lamar Jackson is on the field, but it is part of the story. And I do think it's fair to have a conversation about how it happens. In no ways do I think that this is fire John Harbaugh. In no ways do I think the Ravens aren't a good football team, but we've got to figure out why that keeps happening. Why is it that games that you have won, you somehow end up losing? And that is part of their story now. It's yes and to me.
Yeah, sure. And I think that every week is interchangeable, that we have those questions when they lose, right? It's something different every single time. One time it's going to be, today we felt like, that the Browns made some really good things, some adjustments in the second half that the Ravens didn't do, to me, on both sides of the ball. The Colts game could be like, the Ravens just didn't make the adjustments that they needed to, specifically on offense. So each time that they do these things is not going to be a Lamar problem, because what we're not going to do is act like this defense that we've been touting about how good they've been all year, just didn't show up the way that they have today. And that's going to, so every week it's going to be, every time that there's a loss with Lamar Jackson with a 75% probability, it's not going to be because, oh, Lamar, you know what I'm saying? Because of the offense or Lamar Jackson, because the defense got to they got to own up what happened today too. And that's fair. Every time, it's just going to be different every time. Sometimes it might be a coaching decision. Sometimes it might be because somebody could say the Colts game was a coaching decision with the Jose Flowers situation. So today it's going to be, well, to me, it's a combination of both things. But again, that defense that we've been talking about, how good that they've been, where were you in the second half? You let Deshaun Watson go perfect.
They did. And you know
Reeta,
what?
This goes,
and you know
this
what?
Goes,
just like when they lost, the unspeakable game that I was at, the one game I've been at this year, the Colts game, and the same thing with the Pittsburgh game. We were looking going into this game, this team should be 9-0, right? I mean, the two times they lost, they beat themselves. And you could make the same argument, really, competitive and has an insane defense. And they really just made those plays and those moments. And I look at it and go, let's see how they respond. Just like let's see how they respond Thursday. Let's see how they respond going on the road against the Chargers. Take the bye week. I mean, it's a tough loss, but we beat them. We beat them on their turf. They beat them on our turf. I mean, look, right? If you're battling that way in the division, that's usually how it is. The games are going to be tougher. I'm still way, as you said, Glenn. I know what you're saying. Like, yes, and is a great way to say it, right? Like, why has that happened? But can you tell me the other statistics? There's no other teams that have done that at all ever in the last few years that were good teams. I think at the end of the day, the players make the plays, and sometimes they didn't make the plays in these games. They didn't make the plays when they needed to.
Josh, I don't think any team have ever been in position to do it. That's what's so crazy. The Ravens are the only team in NFL history in a 2-year period to do this. And the Ravens have so many crazy off-the-chart records that they've had since Lamar became the starter. I mean, the winningest quarterback in the fourth or fifth winningest quarterback in modern NFL history. That's Lamar when he's a starter. So those are other positive things. So it's just statistics.
Why is there an echo when Femi's talking?
Oh, there's an echo now?
Went in the same spot?
Yeah, we are. We did an event today.
Yeah.
It's a difficult spot. We're gonna wrap up.
I'm just trying to figure out. I thought it was my.
I thought the echo was gone. My bad.
Yeah, I thought we got rid of it.
Well, when you just talked, it didn't echo, so maybe you fixed it.
Is it still echoing now?
I took a Xanax, so I wasn't sure.
Can I just say one
me.
thing?
I thought maybe it was just me.
Can I just say one thing? Can we all be quiet so Andrew Stecker can talk?
Yes,
Andrew's here?
we must be quiet.
I want us all. Andrew hasn't said a word.
I'm so sorry.
I wanted to hear your opinions. No, you guys are good. This whole conversation that you guys have been having, it kind of takes me back to Glenn's pendulum theory that he had coming into the season. Like, how much is the pendulum going to swing to the offense versus the defense? And I agree, Femi. The defense kind of got its ass kicked today, but at the same time, they scored a touchdown. They allowed only 26 points because the offense gave up a touchdown with a pick six. Like, they were not great, but also they were not facing the same quarterback they did last time they played the Browns. The offense, on the other hand, just kind of sputtered. And it's Glenn mentioned earlier, like, they didn't know how to deal with prosperity. Things were going well early on, and then they just kind of didn't continue to play throughout the rest of the game. And it just keeps reminding me where this pendulum, like, I get it's going to be different. If you look at the blame pie, like, it's going to be different every game. But this pendulum continuing to swing, like, I'm wondering if we were maybe getting a little bit too reliant on the defense, which has been so good, and not remembering that this offense needs to be improving with the new coordinator now, halfway through the season. Like, it needs to be showing more signs of being able to put teams away when you get a lead. Like, and that doesn't have to be imposing your run with, your will with the run either. It just has to be moving the chains a little bit, prolonging drives, and got to at least come up with some more threes. I mean, that's the other thing. They missed another 3 today on the block field goal. I don't know if that's a grander thing we need to talk about Tucker. I don't think it is, but it's another, like, that's another missed field goal today. That's become a grander issue between the whole unit that also, we kind of put on the watch list a few weeks ago, and it's still on the watch list. So all these things combining in the same game, in a division game, a team that's really scrappy and hungry, like, all of that is just, that was a recipe for.
But when you say Andrew, I mean, I agree with everything you said, but we did do that in those previous games. I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
You're
so
correct.
that's why I'm willing to give them on offense, it's like you're playing one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league with us and them. I'm gonna give them a little slack that like they didn't roll through it as much as they did against Seattle or against Detroit. So, but you're right. They didn't make.
They
those
did impose
plays.
their will against those teams, and they did a great job of putting the games away. They didn't in this game, and I think I'm just saying I think a little bit more needs to fall on the offense than maybe everybody's going to look at.
Right.
Oh, they gave up 33 points to the Browns. Really? No, that they didn't give up 33 points. They gave up 26 defensively, and the offense gave up 7 as well. So it's there's a little bit of like, let's remember how this whole thing played out. The offense
feels
I
like
just think deserves
and we're gifted a short field too.
You're right. And on offense, it always feels like in those wins, we were not just imposing our will. I guess that's a cliche, but we were dictating the terms of what we were doing and keeping people. And it felt like we were a step behind them, on them defensively against our offense. It felt like we just weren't surprising them enough. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess that is a consideration with the play calling, but it was. I'm sure Lamar is not feeling good right now, considering I know the competition between him and Deshaun, and that goes back to college. But Deshaun played better in the second half when it counted. He did.
The reality.
Yeah.
That is the reality. All right, real quick, I need to tell everybody, what company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? It's AJ Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com. Anything that we didn't cover that we need to cover? Anything that we didn't get to? I feel like we've said basically.
No.
Carson hasn't said a goddamn thing. Carson
never says anything.
Yeah, we keep it that way. Yeah, wait, he's gonna end up saying something crazy
Andrew,
like about chemtrails.
Andrew said something that made me think about it because I'm not ready to have a conversation about Justin Tucker. But what I will say is that when he did go out to do the 55-yarder, I did not feel comfortable. And I have not felt comfortable about anything 50+
What's
yards
that tell
all
you though?
year.
What's that tell you though?
All
Reeta?
year.
Like that.
I don't know.
Well,
tell me, because I don't know.
But 2 years ago, would you have felt any kind of
doubt
about a 55?
It's concerning. But also, did it not look like that block kick was already going to be missed anyway? It looked like it was way left off his foot. Did it not?
It just didn't. It just didn't look right to me. I don't know. I didn't feel good about. I know I didn't feel good about it, and I was like, I would much rather they punt right here. But maybe it's me. And then it happened, and I was like, damn, I hate that I was right about my feeling on it. So,
am I muted? No, I can't even tell.
I can hear you.
Yeah, no,
I
think a month ago I put the whole Tucker thing on notice myself. I said, hey, the whole special teams, I said, remember, because they were giving up stuff early on. I said, special teams needs to get sorted out. And they did kind of right the ship a little bit. But I'll tell you right now, something looks off on the field goal unit. It just does. And today was the interior line. I don't know if that kick was going to be good or not, but that dude had his big old paw like up and he got through so easy. That never happens. I've never seen leakage come through the guard tackle gap, the AB gap. I've never seen that happen before. I've seen, long kicks maybe where they're a little bit low and maybe someone gets their hands up and they're jumping. Okay, I see that every once in a while, but I'm not going to lie. I am a little uncomfortable right now with what I'm seeing from the field goal unit. I am. And that's from Tucker and that's everybody across the board. But we had some kicks that he missed earlier in the year that are normal kicks that he makes. And I mean, so that's my thing, but I'm still putting him out there. If it's a
for sure
game and you need a kicker, that's the best kicker in NFL history. But we're such prisoners of the moment. You know what I mean? Like we're such prisoners of the moment. But when it's all said and done, put that guy out there. Let that man do what he does.
Yeah, and we also did him no services in the play calling there and the execution leading up to that because we should have had a few more yards there.
Oh, totally.
We made it a much longer kick than it needed to be.
I went through the whole litany of that decision making.
If he's 5 over 50, then get those extra yards. You can't take the sacks there. It was a lot like the Colts game. Lamar can't take some of those sacks there. We just didn't deliver in that moment. That was they didn't score right on the way back, right? I mean, we held them at the end there.
At the end.
It was a Hail Mary attempt at the end. They didn't go the field goal.
So, but still, like that's a huge potential shift, and we should have gotten 3 there for sure. So,
I don't disagree. I think Ken and I were talking a little bit in the first half about there were some times where I thought that Lamar was hanging on to the ball too long when you'd like to see him take off. And I get that that's been sort of determined that we don't want to run quite as much, but I thought there were a couple plays in the first half where why are we waiting 8 seconds to try to make this happen? Like at some point you're still Lamar Jackson. Like that It's a fine line. I know, I understand, but like part of it is I know what Lamar Jackson running looks like, and that's a really good offensive weapon to have. And if we're waiting 8 seconds for a play to develop, I'd rather just have Lamar Jackson run.
He took some shots in this game too.
He really
more so
did.
than you're used
He
to him
did.
taking.
No,
With
really
the Thursday
did.
night game on the horizon, that made me a little bit nervous. I would not be
But
surprised.
guess what?
To see
Guess
him
what?
pop up
Joe
on
Burrow
the
took a
court
whole
this week.
lot more because I watched both of them at the same time. So I don't feel he got hit way worse. So somebody's gonna be iced up tonight.
That was the last thing I was going to bring up is how should we feel? How confident should we feel going into a Thursday night?
Very confident
against the Bengals.
Very confident.
Like,
there's no reason to not be confident. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. We can hear you.
You should be confident. Why would you not be confident? You have a better roster than the Bengals. They're banged up. They're beat up. They're 5-4. We're 7-3. You should be confident. And until you have a reason not to be. There's no reason to think that the Bengals should come in here and beat us on a Thursday night when they got their ass whipped by Houston and they're beat the hell up. If we need to win that game, we should win that game. And I've been in that locker room. I know what we sound like after something like this. Oh, I think it's going to be for real serious business Thursday night. I can't wait. Can't wait. Bart Scott, can't wait.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to go. Hey, if I could real quick, I want to make sure we say Happy Veterans Day to everyone who has served our country. We had an amazing time today out here at Towson University. Was grateful that they had us as part of their big Veterans Day celebration. Really overwhelming, hundreds of veterans who showed up in one location to try to help them as we deal with the veteran homeless crisis, as well as a suicide crisis among veterans. So we continue to want to try to check in on our vets after Veterans Day. Don't just think about them this weekend, but please check in and see how vets are doing, because those two crises are seriously real. All right, Josh Charles, I love you. I'm glad you're going back to work, bro. I am very happy.
Yes. As we all are. We all are happy. It's a good thing. It's been too long. So it's good. We'll see what happens. The vote will be on Tuesday, but I'm pretty sure it'll get approved. And we'll put that all behind us. But yeah, this one will take this is tough on me, man. I'm telling you. I take these things like Femi, I take it hard. My son can tell you I was cursing like a mofo. I feel bad. Not a good example to my child.
Yep.
Sorry, Rob. I don't mean any of that. It's just a game. Gotta let it go.
Femi, thank you for coming out.
It's not just a game.
Seriously, Femi, thank you for coming off your couch and coming out and doing a game with us. I will at some point in the future, I would like to do another one where people can come watch a game with you, because it is an experience. I always say this about Reeta. Watching games with Reeta. Watching games with Femi is right up there. Like, he is.
Maybe Josh can host us all at his house. You know what I'm saying?
I'll do it. Yeah, come on.
You know what I mean?
Well, we don't have a New York team this year, right? We could if we had a New York team playing. You guys, they don't play the Jets or the Giants right now. They don't. They did twice last year.
The Jets might make the playoffs, though. Maybe, right?
They might. They might. Yeah.
That game will be here, though.
Aaron Rodgers.
Well, Reeta, I gotta say also, Reeta makes me laugh so hard on Twitter how she just does not suffer fools, and you get me giggling left and right. I love it. I love every second of it.
You know, I try not to be that person, but sometimes people force me to be there.
No, sometimes you just gotta lay it down, and you do it brilliantly. I love you all. I gotta jump. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Josh. Love you, buddy.
See you. Bye, Fem.
Reeta and I will be back together.
Bye, Andrew. Bye.
See you, Josh.
Reeta and I will be back together Wednesday night on 105.7 The Fan. And then we will all be back together Thursday night, late night, for the next Project Game Day. Thanks to AJ Michaels. Thanks to Superbook. Thanks to helpmygamblingproblem.org. We will see you late night Thursday.